Welcome to Mind-Blowing Motive, where every word inspires you to think bigger, dream deeper, and live bolder. My amazing listeners, today's journey is going to shake the way you look at life because we're diving into something powerful, something that separates the average from the extraordinary, the art of risk. You see, life doesn't reward those who always play it safe. Playing safe might keep you comfortable, but it will never make you unforgettable. Every great story, every invention, every success began with someone daring to take a chance. Someone who looked fear in the face and said, "Let's go." Taking risks isn't about acting crazy or jumping without thinking. It's about trusting your vision when no one else can see it yet. It's about believing in yourself enough to step into the unknown even if it scares you. Because the truth is, real growth never happens in your comfort zone. In this episode, we'll uncover how to take smart risks, how to turn failure into fuel, and how mastering the art of risk can completely transform your life. So stay tuned and open your heart, because when you learn the art of risk, you don't just live, you rise. Point 1. Understanding what risk really means. Before we learn how to take risks, we first need to understand what risk truly means. Many people hear the word risk and instantly think of danger, loss, or failure. But that's only half the truth. Risk isn't your enemy. It's the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Without taking risks, there's no growth, no discovery, and no success story worth telling. Think about every turning point in your life, from your first big decision to the times you dared to speak up, move forward, or try something new. Each of those moments carried a risk. You didn't know how things would turn out, but you took a step anyway. That's what real courage looks like. Risk is not about doing something reckless. It's about moving with purpose, despite uncertainty. It's choosing faith over fear. Let's take an example. Imagine a young artist who paints every day but never shows her work because she's scared of criticism. She stays safe, hidden behind fear. But the moment she decides to share her art with the world, even though she might fail, that's when her journey truly begins. Her risk gives her the chance to grow, to connect, to inspire. That's the beauty of risk. It opens doors you never knew existed. Every great leader, athlete, or creator you admire didn't start with a guarantee. They started with a risk and a belief that it was worth it. So, before you move forward in life, remember this. Risk isn't something to avoid. It's something to respect and learn from. When you take a risk with awareness and courage, you're not gambling your life away. You're investing in your future. Mastering the art of risk starts with a shift in mindset. Stop asking, "What if I fail?" and start asking, "What if I fly?" Because sometimes the biggest risk isn't taking the leap, it's staying stuck where you are. Point 2. Why playing it safe is the real danger. Most people believe that avoiding risk keeps them safe. But the truth is, playing it safe can be far more dangerous than taking a chance. When you always choose comfort over courage, you slowly stop growing. You trap yourself in a routine where everything feels familiar, yet nothing feels alive. Safety might protect you from failure, but it also protects you from success. Think about it. The world keeps changing every single day. Technology, ideas, and opportunities evolve constantly. If you're too afraid to adapt, to try, to fail, you'll eventually get left behind. Playing it safe might make you feel secure for the moment, but it steals your future potential. It's like living in a cage. It may be comfortable, but it's still a cage. Imagine someone who never applies for their dream job because they fear rejection. Or someone who never starts their own business because they're scared it might not work. What they don't realize is that their safety is slowly costing them the life they truly want. Regret is the silent punishment for never taking a chance. Real success stories are never born out of safety. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before inventing the light bulb. J.K. Rowling's manuscript was rejected by multiple publishers before Harry Potter changed the world. None of them would be known today if they had played it safe. Taking a risk doesn't mean you'll always win, but it guarantees that you'll grow, learn, and evolve. And that growth is worth more than any comfort zone can offer. Every risk teaches you something new about yourself, your strength, your patience, your creativity, and your courage. So the next time your heart hesitates, remember this comfort is easy, but greatness is risky. The people who change the world are not the ones who play it safe. They're the ones who step forward, even when the outcome is uncertain. Because, in the end, the biggest danger is not the risk you take. It's the life you never live, because you were too afraid to take it. Point 3. Real growth begins beyond comfort. There's a famous real-life story about a man named Howard Schultz, the former CEO of Starbucks. He grew up in a poor family in Brooklyn, New York, and life wasn't easy. His father worked low-paying jobs, and his family often struggled to make ends meet. Howard could have chosen the safe path, get a steady job, live quietly, and avoid taking chances. But he had a different vision. One day, while working for a small coffee company, he noticed something special during a trip to Italy. People there weren't just drinking coffee. They were connecting, sharing, and building relationships in cafes. It sparked an idea in his mind to bring that same cafe culture to America, but when he shared his vision, people laughed. Investors rejected him, and even his own company didn't believe it would work. Opening cozy coffee shops on every street corner sounded too risky and unrealistic. Still, Howard took the risk. He left his stable job, borrowed money, and started building Starbucks the way he imagined it. The beginning was rough, sleepless nights, heavy debts, and endless doubt. But he kept pushing forward. Years later, Starbucks became a global brand. Loved by millions, his risk not only changed his life, but also transformed how the world experiences coffee. Howard's story proves something powerful: growth never happens inside the comfort zone. If you're too afraid to fail, you'll never discover how far you can go. Every dream demands a little risk, a little courage, and a lot of faith. Taking a step beyond comfort doesn't guarantee immediate success. Sometimes you'll fall. Sometimes you'll feel lost. But every time you face uncertainty, you become stronger, wiser, and more prepared for the next step. That's what real growth looks like: messy, brave, and full of lessons. So whenever you feel scared to take a leap, think of Howard Schultz. He didn't wait for the perfect moment. He created it. His risk gave birth to one of the biggest success stories in business history. And that's the secret. The best things in life begin the moment you stop playing safe and start believing in what could be. Point 4. Turning failure into fuel. If there's one thing that scares most people about taking risks, it's failure. No one likes to fall after giving their best. But here's a truth that successful people understand: failure is not the opposite of success. It's part of it. Every risk you take might not lead to victory, but every failure you face brings you closer to wisdom, strength, and real growth. Let's talk about someone who turned his failures into the foundation of his success: Walt Disney. Before he became the creator of one of the world's biggest entertainment empires, Walt faced countless rejections. Early in his career, he worked for a newspaper, but he was fired because his editor said he lacked imagination. Can you believe that? The man who later created Mickey Mouse and Disneyland was once told he wasn't creative enough. But Walt didn't let that failure define him. He started his own animation company, and it went bankrupt. Then he started another, and again it failed. But instead of giving up, he learned something new each time. He refined his skills, built stronger teams, and kept his dream alive. Eventually, he created Mickey Mouse. And that single idea changed his destiny forever. If Walt Disney had given up after his first or second failure, the world would have missed out on a lifetime of magic and creativity. His story reminds us that failure isn't the end, it's a teacher. Every time you fail, you learn what doesn't work, and that knowledge pushes you closer to what does work. Failure tests your patience, builds your character, and helps you appreciate success when it finally comes. You can't master the art of risk without learning how to handle setbacks. The truth is, failure only hurts when you stop trying. If you keep going, failure turns into your greatest source of power. So when life knocks you down, don't see it as the end of your story, see it as a rewrite. Each failure is proof that you were brave enough to try. Use it as fuel to go harder, wiser, and stronger. Remember Walt Disney, the man who turned his biggest disappointments into the happiest place on earth. Taking risks means sometimes falling. But the real victory lies in rising every single time. Because when you learn to turn failure into fuel, there's nothing that can stop you from turning your dreams into reality. Point 5. Trusting your instincts when no one else does. One of the hardest parts of taking risks is trusting your gut when everyone around you doubts your vision. People will call you crazy, unrealistic, or overconfident, but sometimes your instincts see what others can't. The greatest risk-takers in history learned to listen to that inner voice, even when the world told them no. A real-life example of this is Elon Musk. Before he became the name behind SpaceX and Tesla, most people saw him as a dreamer with impossible ideas. When he said he wanted to build electric cars that could compete with gas vehicles, experts laughed. They said no one would buy them, and that it was a waste of money. Later, when he announced plans to send rockets into space and make them reusable, people thought he had lost his mind. But Elon Musk trusted his instincts. He invested almost all his money into Tesla and SpaceX, risking everything he had built. There were moments when both companies were close to bankruptcy. Rockets exploded, cars faced production issues, and critics predicted his downfall. But his faith never broke. He believed in his vision even when it seemed impossible, and that belief changed everything. Today, Tesla has revolutionized the auto industry, and SpaceX has redefined space travel. None of it would have happened if Musk hadn't trusted his gut when everyone else told him to quit. This teaches us something powerful. Your instincts are your internal compass. They guide you toward your true purpose, even when logic says otherwise. When you silence that voice out of fear or doubt, you disconnect from your greatest strength. Trusting your instincts doesn't mean ignoring advice or taking blind leaps. It means listening to that quiet inner voice that tells you, "This is right for me." The more you honor it, the stronger it becomes. Every great leader, artist, and innovator began with that same faith, a belief in something unseen. When you follow your instincts with courage and persistence, you start creating possibilities instead of waiting for them. So, when your heart whispers something that scares you but feels right, listen. That's your soul telling you where to go next. Others may not see your vision yet, but that's okay. Because when you learn to trust your inner guide, you don't just take risks, you take the right ones. In the end, trusting your instincts is not just about success. It's about becoming the kind of person who has the courage to believe in themselves, even when the world doesn't. Point 6. Courage is built, not born. Many people believe that courage is something only a few are born with, that some are just naturally brave, while others are not. But that's not true. Courage is something you build, one decision at a time. Every time you face fear and choose to act anyway, you strengthen your courage muscle. It's not magic. It's practice. A perfect example of this truth is Malala Yousafzai. She grew up in Pakistan's Swat Valley, where at one point the Taliban banned girls from going to school. Most people stayed silent out of fear, but not Malala. She believed that education was a basic right for every child, especially for girls. Speaking out in such a dangerous environment was a huge risk, but she refused to be silent. When she was only 15, Malala was attacked and severely injured for her activism. Most people would have stopped there, but not her. After recovering, she became even more determined. She spoke louder, stronger, and braver than ever before, not just for herself, but for millions of girls worldwide who were denied the right to learn. Today, Malala is one of the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winners in history. Her courage wasn't born overnight. It was built through years of fear, pain, and persistence. She showed the world that courage doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you don't let fear control you. Every time you take a step outside your comfort zone, even a small one, you're building your courage. Whether it's speaking your mind, chasing your dream, or standing up for what's right. Every brave action adds another layer of strength inside you. So if you think you're not courageous, remember, no one starts brave. Every hero, every risk-taker, every leader began with fear. The difference is they didn't let that fear stop them. They learned to act in spite of it. The next time you hesitate to take a chance, remind yourself, courage grows when you move. Waiting for fear to disappear won't work, but walking through it will. Courage is not a gift you're given. It's a choice you make every day. When you start building that courage, step by step, you begin to see that you're stronger than you ever imagined. And that strength becomes your greatest weapon in mastering the art of risk. Point 7. The power of taking calculated risks. Not all risks are equal. Some can change your life for the better, while others can lead to regret. The secret lies in learning how to take calculated risks, those that are guided by preparation, awareness, and purpose. Successful people don't jump blindly. They take bold steps with a clear plan. That's what separates smart risk-takers from reckless ones. A real-life example of this is Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. Before starting Amazon, Jeff had a stable and high-paying job on Wall Street. Most people in his position would have stayed where they were. It was safe, comfortable, and guaranteed. But Jeff had a vision. He saw the internet growing rapidly and realized that online shopping could be the next big revolution. Still, leaving his job to start a business from scratch was a massive risk. Instead of rushing, Jeff thought carefully. He studied the market, planned his strategy, and considered every possible outcome. He even used what he called a regret minimization framework, asking himself, "When I'm 80 years old, will I regret not doing this?" The answer was yes. That single question helped him take the leap, not recklessly, but with a clear, logical mindset. He quit his job, started Amazon from his garage, and the beginning wasn't easy. He faced financial struggles, doubts from friends, and sleepless nights. But because his risk was well calculated, every challenge became a step forward. Years later, Amazon became one of the largest companies in the world, changing the way we shop forever. Jeff's story teaches us that risk-taking doesn't mean acting without thinking. It means preparing yourself to face the unknown with knowledge and purpose. A calculated risk is when your courage meets your preparation. It's when you don't wait for perfect certainty, but make the best decision with the information you have. Before taking a risk, ask yourself, is this worth it? What could I learn if it doesn't work out? Am I ready to handle the outcome, whatever it is? When you can answer these honestly, you're ready for a smart leap. The truth is, life doesn't reward those who wait for guarantees. It rewards those who are brave enough to move forward with intention. Every calculated risk you take teaches you to think sharper, act wiser, and dream bigger. So don't fear risks, learn to measure them. Because when you plan your steps with wisdom and courage, even your failures lead you closer to success. That's the true power of calculated risk. Point 8. Learning from those who took the leap. One of the most powerful ways to understand risk is by studying the lives of people who dared to take leaps when others stayed put. Real lessons come from observing how others faced uncertainty, overcame fear, and created extraordinary results. By learning from them, you don't just admire success, you learn the strategies behind it. Consider Oprah Winfrey, one of the most influential media figures in the world. She grew up in poverty, faced abuse, and was told at a young age that she wouldn't succeed in life. Most people in her situation might have accepted their circumstances and avoided taking risks. But Oprah had a vision. She believed in her voice and her ability to connect with people. Her big risk came when she decided to leave her stable job as a news anchor to start her own talk show. At the time, no one was sure if it would succeed. Critics doubted her, and the future was uncertain. Yet she trusted herself, took the leap, and poured her heart into her work. The result? The Oprah Winfrey Show became a cultural phenomenon, reaching millions worldwide, and she became a symbol of perseverance, vision, and courage. Oprah's story teaches a key lesson. You don't need to be fearless to take a risk. You need to be willing to act despite fear. Watching people like her shows us that real growth comes from stepping into the unknown and learning as you go. Their lives are proof that calculated risks combined with passion, determination, and resilience create extraordinary outcomes. By studying those who took leaps before us, we can also identify patterns. They prepared themselves, educated themselves, trusted their instincts, and never let failure stop them. Each setback became a lesson, each obstacle an opportunity to grow stronger. So, the next time you hesitate to take a chance, look for inspiration in the lives of those who succeeded against the odds. Their journeys are not fairy tales, they are real-life evidence that risk, when approached with courage and strategy, can lead to life-changing results. Remember, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Learn from those who dared before you, and use their experiences as your guide. When you apply their wisdom and take your own calculated leaps, you move closer to mastering the art of risk. Point 9. Embracing discomfort as a sign of growth. One of the clearest signs that you're taking meaningful risks is discomfort. Growth and comfort rarely coexist. Whenever you step into the unknown, it's normal to feel uneasy, anxious, or even scared. That discomfort isn't a warning to stop, it's a signal that you're on the right path. A real-life example comes from Richard Branson, the founder of the Virgin Group. Branson has started hundreds of businesses, from airlines to space travel. Many of these ventures seemed impossible, risky, or downright crazy at the time. But what he learned early in his career is that whenever he felt uncomfortable, he was often approaching something important. When Branson launched Virgin Atlantic, he faced enormous resistance. Competitors laughed, investors doubted, and the public questioned if a small startup could challenge major airlines. Every step was uncomfortable, filled with challenges he had never faced before. But instead of retreating, Branson leaned into the discomfort. He took careful, informed risks, learned from mistakes, and kept pushing forward. Today, Virgin Atlantic is a global brand known for innovation and customer service. Branson's story highlights a vital lesson. Discomfort is a sign that you're stretching yourself. When you avoid discomfort, you avoid growth. Every time you take a risk that challenges your limits, you expand your capabilities, build resilience, and discover strengths you didn't know existed. Many people try to avoid risk because they want to feel safe and comfortable. But real success is rarely comfortable. Entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, and leaders all encounter moments of fear and doubt. What separates them is the willingness to stay in the discomfort long enough to learn, adapt, and succeed. So, the next time you feel uneasy about a new opportunity, a bold decision, or a challenging project, don't run from it. Lean into it. That tension, that nervous energy, is the sign that you're growing, learning, and creating a life that matters. Discomfort is not your enemy. It's a signal. When you embrace it, you realize that every risk carries potential. Every challenge brings wisdom. And every step outside your comfort zone brings you closer to the life you're capable of achieving. Remember Richard Branson? He didn't wait for the perfect moment or the easiest path. He took risks, faced discomfort, and built a legacy. And you can do the same. Point 10. Risk leads to opportunity. Many people avoid taking risks because they fear losing what they already have. But the reality is, every risk you take opens doors to opportunities you never imagined. Risk and opportunity are two sides of the same coin. If you want to reach higher levels of success, you must be willing to step into uncertainty and embrace the possibilities that come with it. A perfect real-life example of this is Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx. She had a simple idea: create comfortable, slimming undergarments for women. At the time, she had no experience in fashion or manufacturing. and she was working a regular sales job. Most people would have stayed safe, avoiding the unknown. But Sarah took a chance. She invested her life savings, researched manufacturing, and pitched her idea to manufacturers who had never taken women's shapewear seriously. Her risk wasn't easy. Many manufacturers laughed at her idea. Some doors closed in her face, and she had moments of doubt. Yet she persisted. That risk led to an opportunity. Spanx grew from a small startup into a billion-dollar company, making Sarah Blakely the youngest self-made female billionaire at the time. Her bold move created not only financial success, but also a product that empowered millions of women worldwide. Sarah's journey teaches a vital lesson. If you never take the leap, you'll never discover the doors waiting for you. Risk is not about being reckless. It's about seeing potential where others see obstacles. Every calculated risk you take creates a chance for new ideas, new connections, and new achievements. Opportunities rarely arrive on a silver platter. They appear when you push boundaries, when you challenge the status quo, and when you have the courage to act despite fear. The bigger the risk, often the greater the reward, and the experience gained is priceless. So, if you feel hesitation or fear, remember Sarah Blakely. She turned her risk into an opportunity that changed her life and the lives of millions. Risk is the gateway to new possibilities, and each step forward increases your chances of discovering the extraordinary. Opportunities are waiting. You just have to have the courage to take the first step. When you see risk as a door instead of a danger, you begin to live a life full of possibilities instead of limitations. Point 11. Small risks can lead to big success. Not every risk has to be life-changing from the start. Sometimes small, smart risks create opportunities that grow into something extraordinary. Taking tiny steps outside your comfort zone can build confidence, open doors, and eventually lead to huge achievements. Consider the real story of Liam Chen, a young software developer from Singapore. Liam had a stable job at a tech company, earning a decent salary and living comfortably. But he always dreamed of creating his own app, something that could help people organize their daily tasks more efficiently. Most of his friends advised him to stay safe, saying, "You already have a good job. Why risk it?" Instead of quitting his job immediately, Liam decided to take a small, calculated risk. He spent evenings and weekends developing the app, testing it with friends, and collecting feedback. Each small risk, investing his personal time, spending his savings on initial development, and sharing his ideas online, felt uncomfortable at first. But he treated each step as a learning experience rather than a threat. After months of effort, Liam released the app publicly. Initially, only a few hundred people downloaded it. But his persistence and willingness to take small risks paid off. He continued improving the app based on user feedback, added new features, and gradually it gained popularity. Within 2 years, his app reached millions of users worldwide, and Liam was able to leave his stable job to focus on his company full-time. Liam's story teaches a powerful lesson. Not every risk has to be enormous to matter. Small, smart risks, taken consistently, can create momentum. Each small risk builds experience, confidence, and courage to take bigger steps in the future. Many people avoid risks because they focus only on the potential for failure. But when you view risk as an opportunity to learn and grow, even small steps can transform your life. Liam didn't jump blindly into the unknown. He started small, learned along the way, and eventually achieved a level of success he never thought possible. So, never underestimate the power of small risks. Each one you take is a chance to grow, learn, and move closer to your dreams. Over time, these small steps can turn into something far bigger than you ever imagined, just like Liam Chen's app, which started as a tiny project and became a global success. Point 12. Taking risks that change your life. Sometimes, the biggest risks we take are the ones that completely transform our lives. These are not small, everyday choices. They are decisions that require courage, vision, and a willingness to step into the unknown. And often, the rewards are beyond what we imagined. A perfect real-life example is Reed Hastings, the co-founder of Netflix. Before Netflix became the streaming giant it is today, Reed faced a massive risk. In the late 1990s, he was running a DVD rental service by mail. The idea of creating an online streaming platform seemed futuristic and untested. Internet speeds were slow, and no one believed people would want to watch movies online. Many thought he was making a huge mistake. Instead of playing it safe and sticking with the DVD model that was already working, Reed decided to take the risk. He invested heavily in technology, shifted the business model, and introduced a subscription-based streaming service. The early days were uncertain, and investors were skeptical. There was no guarantee it would succeed. But Reed trusted his vision and took bold steps to turn it into reality. Today, Netflix is a global entertainment powerhouse, changing the way the world consumes movies and TV shows. That one decision to embrace innovation and risk everything on a new idea completely transformed Reed Hastings' life and the entire entertainment industry. His story shows that life-changing risks require both courage and a clear vision. Calculated risks, when combined with persistence, preparation, and belief in your idea, can create opportunities that were previously unimaginable. The lesson is simple. The bigger the risk, the bigger the potential reward. Every major success story involves stepping into uncertainty, trusting yourself, and moving forward despite fear. So, when you face a moment where your heart tells you to try, to take a chance, or to pursue something that feels risky, remember Reed Hastings. He teaches us that the bold choices we make today can shape the life we live tomorrow. In the end, taking risks is not about reckless leaps. It's about recognizing opportunities, trusting yourself, and daring to go beyond what seems safe. When you embrace risk, you open the door to a life full of possibilities, growth, and extraordinary success. Final words. And that's the beauty of the art of risk. Every single risk you take, big or small, shapes your growth, strengthens your courage, and brings you closer to the life you truly deserve. Remember, every great success story begins with one brave decision. Life doesn't reward hesitation. It rewards action. So don't let fear hold you back. Trust yourself. Take that chance and step forward with confidence. The magic always happens outside your comfort zone. If today's talk inspired you or gave you a new way to look at risk and success, then don't forget to stay connected with us. This is Mind-Blowing Motive, your daily dose of motivation, courage, and wisdom. We're here to help you grow, dream bigger, and live bolder. So, until next time, keep believing, keep moving, and keep taking those brave steps. because one risk today can become your biggest success tomorrow. Stay strong and stay inspired, always with mind-blowing motive.